It's a beautiful day outside. Check this out. Check this out. It's so beautiful out. Look at them skies, nice. Spring is on its way. It's so beautiful outside. All right, so not everyone, even when it's beautiful like this outside, is it beautiful for them in their life, right? We got people with anxiety, we got people with depression, and we got people with suicide thoughts in their head, which is now what this video is going to be about. This video is about suicide, maybe a couple of warning signs that you should be aware of. That way, especially for any you parents out there with young kids, or maybe a family member or somebody is on antidepressant medicine, there's certain things to look out for. All right, first thing is, this is a non-sponsored video. This is just something that I'm doing, but at the in the description down below, I will leave some suicide and some help hotlines, whether it's anxiety, depression. There is so many different other places out there like Headspace and some other ones out there that will help with some counseling. There's free counseling, there's church counseling, there's all kinds of stuff out there for help if somebody will be willing to go and get help. So again, this is going to be a little, tit-tat on anxiety, depression, and suicide. It's going to be all three. So physical signs of anxiety. You have people with jaw clenching and grinding teeth, especially at night. So if you know that your kids are grinding their teeth at night, start paying attention to what's going on. Start getting more involved in your kids' life, because something at school might be happening that they're getting anxiety. Maybe that they get test anxiety. There's so many different things out there that can cause you to have anxiety. Tingling and numbness in hands and feet. That can be another sign. A lot of people that have anxiety, me included, this is one of my biggest ones that I had in my first 2 to 3 years of being bed rested in the beginning of my journey with my Lyme disease, is I would get tingling and numbness in my left arm. Well, we all know left means heart attack. So I was in the ER all the time. It was insane crazy. Frequent yawning and shortness of breath, even without physical exertion. So if you're sitting there, my wife and I, we both have anxiety. Even though, everyone has anxiety. If you don't think that you have anxiety, you have anxiety. Everyone has some form of anxiety. We have anxiety at some point in time in our life. You ever been pulled over before? Okay, so when you're getting pulled over and you're like, crap, what did I do? I don't know that I was speeding. And as you're pulling over, some people will start getting a little shaky on their hands, or they'll get butterflies in their stomach. All right, the cop just got out. Okay, now you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? What's going on? Or are you calm and collected and like, okay, I didn't do nothing, this cop's gonna walk up. Well, if you're one of the ones that get them butterflies in your stomach, guess what? You got anxiety. Digestive issues. You can get digestive issues from anxiety. Again, like I was just saying, when you're getting pulled over, you get the little butterflies in your stomach, right? So you get bloated, nausea, IBS type symptoms, which is, again, the little butterflies in your stomach, and then, you might have the runs or whatever else. Muscle tension, especially in your shoulders. A lot of tension that sits right here on your shoulders, like you got the weight of the world on you. That is anxiety. You got emotional and mental signs, which there again, once these start kicking in on this anxiety, these start actually reaching into some of your depression as well. So feeling on edge, but not knowing why. Like you're just, everything's just aggravating you. You're just like, you're having a hard time concentrating. You're on edge about it. That is a type of anxiety. Racing thoughts that won't slow down. Your thoughts, they're just going, and you can't get them to shut up there. You're like, all right, please stop. Just give me a break. Sudden feeling of dread without any clear cause. Like you're just sitting there and like, man, I'm gonna probably be dead this year. That's a type of anxiety. It's also called intrusive thoughts, but that's a type of anxiety, and that people don't really realize that it is anxiety. They just think that it's just a thought that popped in and everyone gets them, right? We all do, right? Because we all get anxiety. Another one, over analyzing past interactions or past regrets. You're always sitting down like, man, what if I would have did this differently? Like, man, I just dated this guy for 3 months, or I just dated this girl for 3 months, and it's like, if this would have happened, if I would have did this different. Stop. That's anxiety. You're going to cause yourself to go down a rabbit hole. That is a clear sign to learn how to deal a little bit with anxiety before it turns into depression. Another one would be a fear of making decisions, especially simple decisions. Like, I'm going to make an easy one that a lot of people with anxiety have. It's like a simple decision like, all right, I haven't showered today. I know I just been laying in bed, but I haven't. I'm not going to take a shower, or should I take a shower? That is a simple decision. But a lot of people with anxiety, they didn't do nothing all day long. They just sat around and watched some TV or whatever, because they're in their self-absorbed spot because of their anxiety, that they don't realize the anxiety is taking control. Other things, you're trying to stay away from society. You're trying to stay away from any type of social events. You're dreading going to Walmart or to the grocery store. Avoiding certain people when they call you because you just don't want to deal with them because you're on that edge. You have that little bit of anxiety. Another one would be over-explaining things. You want to explain yourself all the time, and then if you're not saying it or getting it out correctly or doing something correctly, or you don't feel like you are, you're always like, I'm sorry. You're over saying you're sorry all the time. There's a lot of people that's all they do is say, I'm sorry, and they don't need to. You're not sorry, okay? You don't need to be sorry for everything in life. That's not how it is. That's not how it goes. And also with that one is always reassuring somebody like, don't worry, it's going to be okay. 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 Well, if you keep doing that and you're overdoing that all the time, or your spouse or your kids or somebody's overdoing that, that means they're actually stressing about it. They have anxiety about whatever y'all are talking about, and they're over complicating it. Their anxiety is on like, not an 8-cylinder car, but it's like having like 100 cylinders in that car. It's overproducing, and they got a little bit of anxiety. Engaging in small, repetitive behaviors like tapping, fidgeting, or hair pulling. A lot of girls, you think that they're flirting, or that they're looking at a guy, or they're like, ooh, and they're just curling their hair in their finger. That's actually a type of anxiety. It's also a type of OCD, and it's also, that can be multiple things, but you're always fidgeting. You always got to tap something. You're always, my wife does it, she taps on her teeth. I'm like, babe, enough, Or you'll see people, they're always shaking their leg. They're bouncing their leg. I mean, my leg is bouncing right now. Things like that. That's all part of anxiety, especially your kids. You need to start really looking into that, because that anxiety can turn into depression, which is going to be our next step. I'm going to go ahead and start going into the depression part of this. All right, of course, we're going to go with the tall signs, which is sad and feeling empty. If you're feeling sad, or you notice your kid or your spouse or someone that you know, and they just look down all the time, and they're having a moment, and it's not because of a breakup, it's not because of something stressful in their life is going on, that is a sign that they're getting depressed now. So you can start seeing the leg bouncing or the fidgeting of something with that anxiety, and then next thing you know, now that they're always seeming down and blue, they're always looking down, they're just just don't have no drive no more. That's all part of depression. Loss of interest in certain activities that they once enjoyed. So if you enjoy drawing, if you enjoy playing a video game, and now you're not doing it no more, or you notice your kid not doing it no more, you need to start looking into their life and be a little bit more part of their life, or your spouse's wife, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Increase of irritability and frustration. That goes hand in hand with the anxiety one. Like I said, if you have anxiety, if you let anxiety go too much, it turns into depression. And these need to all be aware. People need to be aware of this and aware of the signs, so they can try to cope as much as they can by themselves to fix it, because everyone don't need to go run to the go run to the doctor and go get put on psych meds and all that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying here's some of the telltale signs, and especially the young kids in our day and age today, and the way that they're growing up and being taught in schools and stuff is totally different than 20 years ago whenever I was in school. I don't think 20 something years ago whenever I was in school. Feeling guilty or self-critical, we're our own worst critic, right? Or our best critic, and we're our best fan. So if I do a good video out here, I'm like, oh man, look at that video. And then if I sit down and I watch it 1 or 2 times like I normally do, it's like, man, I could have did that better. I could have did that better. I could have did that. But if you let that play too much of what you're doing, then you're going to get OCD about something, or you're going to overplay it, and it's going to turn into a form of depression, because unless you get it 100%, 100% correct, then you're going to be upset. You're going to get anxiety, depression about that. I don't care if you're waxing your car. You can get depression from waxing your car because you're going OCD or getting too into it. If you feel guilty about everything, and I'll use this one as an example for myself. Okay, I get my guilty feelings because, got a little diabetes. I lost a lot of weight, but I go in there and I'll grab me some cookies or something. I feel guilty for buying them, and it's like, my wife's eating them, my daughter's eating them, everyone's eating them around here. It's like, I feel guilty that they might get fat too, but I don't want to buy something and not have for them neither. I think that's self-centered. So I get for everyone, but sometimes I'll get a little guilty because they're like, man, I gained 2 pounds or whatnot, and it's like, I'll feel a little bit of guilty on that one, but that's just a start of it. It can actually get a little worse. Difficulty concentrating and making decisions. Same thing with the anxiety ones, making them small decisions, or you're having a hard time concentrating on doing something. Frequent negative thoughts or excess worry. Again, them intrusive thoughts, just like anxiety. Anytime that anxiety gets too much, it goes into depression. Physical signs, change of sleep, insomnia, oversleeping, you're always tired. I mean, yes, you could be exerting yourself, but at the same time, it could be depression because you let your anxiety get to you. Changes in appetite, eating too much or too little. Again, this is what I was talking about the cookies or whatever. If you think that you're getting fat, or if a lot of people, we all go to eating because it's our endorphin and what's the other one? There's another one, dopamine. There we go. Our dopamine, once we put something sweet or something that we like, okay, into our mouth, our dopamines go up in our system, so we feel calmer, we feel more relaxed. Well, what happens is somebody with anxiety and especially depression, they'll start eating more because they're trying to feel that dopamine feel, not that they realize that they're trying to feel that. And that's how a lot of people actually become obese, is because they're depressed, and now their depression comes even worse. Unexplained aches and pains. I mean, you could just be hurting because that anxiety, which led to depression, put them tinglings or that tension somewhere. Fatigue and lack of energy. You just don't feel like doing nothing no more. You don't want to get out of bed. Depression all the way because that anxiety already overworked you into depression. Engaging in reckless or self-destructive behavior. You're driving down the road and you're driving at 110 miles an hour and a 40 mile an hour, or anytime you hit the interstate, you got to do 100 miles an hour. You have depression. You have some thrill-seeking issues, and I don't know, a lot of people that get depressed, they'll start looking at like things that they never did before. Skydiving, one of them, bungee jumping. They'll start looking at other things, not because they want the thrill or they like them thrills. They're looking at it because they're depressed, and it's some of them first thoughts that come in. Withdrawing from family and friends, where you don't want to be out. No, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired today. I'm just going to stay home. And it's, it's not that you just had a hard week. You don't want that relaxation, that go out and be around people. Loss of motivation or productivity. You again, just like the anxiety, your drive to do something isn't there no more. I mean, start looking at your kids. I got to mention the kids because this is where it happens. It happens mainly when we're adolescents and young adults, and can lead to very, very bad things, down a very bad rabbit hole. Neglecting personal hygienes or responsibilities, what I was just saying a minute ago. I know I need to take a shower, but I haven't been doing nothing today. And again, there's your hygiene. I got to do the dishes. This one happens to me a little bit whenever I'm down and out, or I get too focused though. It's like, man, I got to go in there and do dishes, but I'll do them in an hour, and I'll come back, or I'll be just so sucked up into the TV, and it's like I'll do them in a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into some signs of suicide, which is a little bit touchier, and all this leads up to some of these suicidal thoughts. Again, what you're going to notice with a lot of this is a lot of it resembles each other. Anxiety to depression to now for suicide. Emotional and verbal signs, behavioral signs, physical signs, and then of course I'll have some urgent red flag signs. So again, expressing hopelessness or feeling like a burden. Again, that can be anxiety, that can also be depression. That's a good one to really look out for, and especially on the anxiety part, because like I said, one can turn into the other and the other can turn into the other. Talking about wanting to die or wanting to or not wanting to exist. So again, like I said, man, I'm going to die this month, or man, no one loves me, and why am I even here? Little talks like that. It could be someone just spatting it off, just talking about it, and it's there. But once that thought's there, that thought can reoccur and reoccur and reoccur, which then can lead into even, something worse, and for someone to take their lives. Saying things like, I can't do this anymore. Everyone would be better off without me. That, of course, that should be number one tall tale, sign right there. Everyone does that, but everyone also feeds off of that. People who want just attention, and that's where sometimes it gets hard, because people can't distinguish if someone's just trying to get attention, or if they're really, really, they went down that far rabbit hole where now they're ready talking about, taking their own life. Feeling numb or detached from life, again, that happens in anxiety, that happens in depression. So then we go into a little bit of behavioral signs, withdrawing from friends and family or activity. Again, that happens in anxiety, that happens in depression. A lot of these correlate with each other. Giving away personal belongings. Someone's like, okay, well, I don't need this no more. I don't need this no more. I'm going to go ahead and give this to you, give this to you. If someone's trying to get rid of all their stuff, they might just be in a good spirit, or they might be trying to downsize, whatever it is, but keep an open mind to it, right? Keep an open mind, because that might be a sign that something else might be going on. Sudden mood changes, especially from sadness to seeming at peace. A lot of people that get them suicidal thoughts and they're ready to commit suicide, they come to peace with it within themselves, because they already know what they're going to do and they're ready to carry it out. And so if you see someone sad and then it's like you didn't see how they came out of being sad, that there was no reason for them just to go from literally sad today in the last month, and then all of a sudden now they've dealt with their situation, or what you think is they dealt with it. It might be that they dealt with it because now they've given up, and they have settled on what their mind has told them. Okay, my life is not worth it no more. Increasing reckless behavior, driving dangerously, using drugs. To go into that one a little bit, I'm going to add to this one things that I know from experience of people that I've known. Things like Benadryl or even ibuprofen. Someone has a headache all the time and they're always constantly wanting to take that pill, right? They become a habit forming on that pill. That headache could be due to their anxiety or their depression, and they're finding that way out. And when they can't find that way out, or even Benadryl can relax people. It can take your antihistamines in your system and bring it down where your anxiety is not so bad. A lot of people don't know you can take Benadryl for an anxiety medicine. You can take Benadryl for a toothache. You just put the Benadryl there and let it sit there, and it will numb it. But when people are looking for that, and that's what they're looking for, and then they can't find it no more, then they go further down the rabbit hole. So other signs to look out for as well is watch people with bad headaches or Benadryl or over-the-counter medicines is another one. Saying goodbye in ways that feel final. You got a buddy came over for a barbecue or whatever, and he's shaking your hand goodbye, but it feels like he's telling you goodbye like that's gonna be the last time you're ever gonna see him again. And that is another one that they have accepted what they know or what they believe is going to be right for them to do by taking their own life. Changes in sleeping too much or too little. Again, anxiety and sleep deprivation also can lead to anxiety, depression, and suicide. Not getting enough sleep can make our mind play tricks on us big time, and it can make hallucinations and just different things by not getting enough sleep. Doesn't mean that your spouse or your kids are off their rocker and they're depressed or whatever. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. That's just number one. Physical changes in the sleep, loss of appetite or sudden weight changes. You notice your buddy lost so much weight or someone's losing a lot of weight. I mean, you ask questions. I know you think that it's going to be, rude. Hey, what's going on? You gained a little bit of weight. Or, hey, what's going on? You lost some weight. What you doing? I want to know that. I want to lose some weight. Making it an engaging conversation for them to kind of open up to you. Don't push them, but open it for an engaging conversation. Unexplained aches and pains. If somebody is in pain, again, with me in the beginning, I couldn't lift my head up off the bed for almost 2 years. Everything was spinning around me. If it wasn't for my faith, I probably would have thought more about suicide. 100%, I would have thought a lot more about suicide if it wasn't for my faith. Again, this video isn't about whether you should believe in God or not, but you need to believe in something. Your life is worth it. If you're one of them people that are out there, your life is worth it. But the pain that I was in and the neck pain, I get injections now every 3 months, but I still stay in so much pain. But some people just can't take the pain, and they'd rather be, not on this planet and just take their own life instead of being in pain anymore, which is very, very sad, because there is ways to be out of pain without being a drug head. There's so many ways out there. All right, some urgent red flags: making a plan, talking about ways to die, searching for the methods. If you see somebody that is literally looking up a lot of morbid ways, morbid things, watching videos about people dying on their phone or whatever else, or that's the type of movies that they just started watching out of the blue, is all about death. That's another big sign. Down to the movies. We got to worry about all this, and I know you still got to worry about your life, but worry about the people in your life, whether they're family or friends. We all belong here. Everyone belongs on Earth. Suddenly seeming better after a long period of time of depression. Back to what I was saying, they've coped with what they're going to do. So if somebody has been battling depression and then all of a sudden they are just calm as can be, you notice that they're not happy, but they're not stuck in their drought or their low form of depression. Keep an eye on that, because that means that in their head, they might already have, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my life. I just need to find out what's the best way that's going to do it. And that's what's actually happening. Self-harm, you start seeing cuts, burns, bruises, unexplained injuries on somebody. Of course, seek help for them immediately. Nobody should be harming themselves. Some people get off to getting tattoos, getting piercings. That is a little different. Hopefully those are just stages that you go through. Like me, I had my septum pierced. I had 3 in my lip, my eyebrow. I had quite a few piercings, and it was just a stage I went through. I liked the way they looked. It was nothing about it. I couldn't stand the pain. Them things hurt. Same thing. I have a couple of tattoos. I mean, if I could go back, I would take them off. I would never have gotten them. But mine wasn't for wanting to feel that, or to feel that I am alive. And a lot of people, they feel that, and when they start not feeling it no more, they become numb to everything and they'll take their life. And the worst thing is to have somebody feel numb and take someone else's life and their life at the same time. That we have so much of that in society today, so much of that. But these are some of your main signs and symptoms. There's so much more out there, but these are going to be some of the main ones that correlate between anxiety, depression, and suicide that people don't realize is suicide when they think that it's somebody suffering from anxiety or suffering from depression. Some people don't realize the depression comes from the anxiety, but they all stack in their way that they need to stack. And if they're not controlled, or something doesn't get controlled, or someone doesn't get the counseling or get the help or get the medication, or they have an imbalance somewhere, it can lead to something devastating that none of us want to see. We all want to live our fullest lives here on earth, right? We want to live our fullest lives. We want to do what is best. And now here toward the end of the video, I am going to say, if you're not religious, I'm not telling you to become religious. Open up one of the oldest books in the world, and that's the Holy Bible. Open it up. Go through. You have Google searches. Google search suicide. Google search anxiety. Google search depression. But ask Google, say, what does the Bible say about depression? What does the Bible say about anxiety? And it will give you verses in there, and it will give you more insight inside that Bible that probably any psychiatrist can give you, that they're not going to try to take your money. And that's the thing, is these psychiatrists are also money hungry because they had to go to school and spend the money for schooling. Why should you have to pay to help somebody to live? That's insane. Same thing with medical. I don't believe in any of these doctors and getting paid in order to help somebody survive and to live. But no, I just want to put the awareness out there. I'm not going through nothing, so I don't want none of my subscribers to fear. I'm not going through nothing. I sit down and I watch some of these news, and I read different stories, and I try to stay pretty active within the world. And so many shooters that go shoot people and then take their own life, or somebody who just don't care to die, and they just think that these guys, they just think that they're just the strongest man in the world, and they'll go take someone else's life or a couple of lives because they don't care about their lives. They're so forced into them drugs because that anxiety got them there, or depression got them because they had a hard childhood. Girls, they tend to sleep around with a lot of men because they were abused when they were younger. And if you know that you were abused and you get help from that and combat your depression and not have anxiety for the guy that you're with, you're not going to turn where all you're doing is sleeping around with a bunch of guys. So another tall tale, especially high school kids, look at your peers around you. If you know a girl, that's all she's talking about, or for a fact that she's very sexually active, there could be another reason for it. A guy turning, gay, or a girl turning gay. A lot of times it's because their depression has set in from them being hurt, and their anxiety has pushed them away from the opposite sex. Everybody just wants to blame and just say, oh, it's not there, and we shouldn't have LGBTQ and however you say it. I don't believe in none of that. I do believe, though, that some of these people, their ways change, their way of thinking changes, and their emotions change because of things that happen in their life. And all this, again, depression, anxiety, it goes in order. Anxiety, depression, and then suicide. So somebody that was molested, right? Now they have anxiety anytime they get around someone, or someone that's even being abused, they gets beat. Anytime someone's hand goes up, they flinch or whatever. If you see, your kids doing that and they're flinching, or you're out at a party and you see someone else's kids or someone doing that, look into it. Your females, I mean, even some of your males out there get abused by their wives. It's not just the men beating up on the women out there. The women beat up on the men too. It's getting more and more common. But those are all signs. That's your anxiety. And then depression will kick in. And then anxiety and depression both, because they love that person and they don't want to leave that person. And if it goes into the suicide part, with their depression and how deep it goes, they might take that life and then their own life, because they realize what they just did and what their life's going to be like if they don't take their own life, which no one should take no life. You take no one else's life and you do not take your life. Everyone needs to be aware. Again, I'll leave hotline numbers down below. I'll leave other websites, non-sponsored, no kickback, no nothing off of this video whatsoever. This is literally awareness that everyone should know. I'm Thomas with God Wants You To. Thank you for watching, and literally watch out for your neighbor, for your peers, for your friends, for your family. Stay observant to everything around you. Thank you and God bless.